Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dan. Just doing another react video. If you watch one of my last ones, you can. I did talk about how I like comedy, I like stand-up, I like true crime. So this one's kind of going into that true crime direction. As you can tell from the video already, it's in response to Andrew Tate. I believe the lawyer here, his name is Bruce Rivers. He's a criminal defense lawyer, and people have sent me this video to look at. And just to preface the whole situation, or at least my stance on this, I'm going to give you a bit of rundown. So Andrew Tate has been arrested. I think he's being charged for um, organized crime, um, sex trafficking, and rape. And basically, I don't really have a stance on whether he's guilty or not. I don't know. I don't think there's enough evidence to say right now. A lot of the stuff I've seen on social media, Instagram, all that stuff, there seems to be stuff that's made up on both ends, either for Tate or against Tate. So I don't really know what to think about it. I personally want to see more stuff from the justice system or the court or the trial or whatever it is. I want to see that kind of evidence before I make a decision. I feel like everybody's innocent until they're proven guilty, and that's how I want to kind of take the situation as well too. But everyone's pretty much saying watch this video, and I don't know. I guess there's some damning evidence in here, and maybe that'll sway my opinion. And yeah, let's get to it.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
It's got a pretty interesting
Hi, this is
intro.
Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer, and today we're reacting to some criticism I've received online. A lot of the supporters of Andrew Tate think I'm taking things out of context. But before we get to what we're going to talk about today, this episode is brought to you by what? What do you think? eForms.com, perhaps? Absolutely. Form. Let's say you're going
Let's
into
skip
a web
this.
him to sign home, or if you so just go to eForms as not liking Andrew Tate, and people got offended by that, saying that I'm not being objective and that I'm taking some of his things out of context. Let's just
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things about this. In all matters, really, any type of social issues. I hate uh, I hate having discussions about anything when it's not objective. Like if you're gonna talk about a social issue and you have a side or a stance, um, it's not just about having that side or a stance. You gotta objectively discuss the topic and talk about what you're trying to achieve. Is there a solution? What's the question you're trying to answer? And what's the solution to that question? So if you're not bringing any type of solution up and you don't have an objective approach to it or something, I hate that kind of talk. I think it's a lot of activist stuff. I hate activist stuff because people are just talking a lot of shit, but they have nothing to back it up a lot of times. It's kind of like the situation here where people are jumping on either side of the Andrew Tate, um, whether they're saying he's guilty or he's not guilty of doing whatever. Like there's no proof, um, and like to say that he's guilty because he's a misogynist, like that doesn't. You can't say he's guilty because he's a misogynist. Like you need more proof. And then on the other hand, they're saying that no, he's innocent or whatever, blah blah blah. Like again, what's your proof of that, right? Um, for me, I think, I mean, Andrew Tate, he says a lot of stuff that I do agree with in terms of like getting guys to really be stronger and have more confidence in themselves. One of the things he says is he doesn't take anti-depression medicine or something like that, or he doesn't believe in that kind of stuff. If you have depression, it's a mind over matter thing. You can overcome it with your mind. I personally believe that as well too, because that's how I deal with it. It doesn't work with everybody. Some people will need the therapy or they need the medication to help them. But yeah, I think trying to do everything yourself first, that's I think the healthiest way to do it. But if you need help, everyone needs help at some point. Um, but yeah, all the misogynistic stuff like oh fuck women, blah blah blah. Men are supposed to cheat, and if they cheat, then you're supposed to ignore it. Like that kind of stuff, I don't believe in. But I do believe that like as a man, you do have duty. You do need to go out and do certain stuff, and you are responsible for these types of things. That kind of stuff, I 100% agree with. Some of the other stuff, I don't. So yeah, it's a tricky situation, but yeah, let's go forward with this.
Let's talk about what we're talking about here. I talked to you 5 months ago, and I told you that Andrew Tate is going to be on the police blotter. So I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, guess who we see on the blotter? We see Mr. Tate. I knew he was. And it's not just because I don't like him. It has nothing to do whether I like him or dislike him. This is a legal analysis show, right? I mean, that's the thrust of it. And one of the things I talk about is self-snitching, right? And so, and one of the things that I was trying to comment on is that there's a treasure trove of stuff that he's put out there to show that he is probably guilty of the crimes that they're talking about. And all the stuff that he's put out there can be used against him, not taken out of context. So what is he charged with? He's charged with sex trafficking. And I would venture to bet that maybe even some tax stuff might come down the pike. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
I can totally see the tax stuff. I mean, the guy says, I think he has like a bunch of different passports. I don't know how many countries he lives in and stuff like that. And when you're making a lot of money, for whatever reason, rich people, they know how to get away with paying taxes. Um, and sometimes they're gonna get caught. I'm sure there's a lot of money laundering involved and stuff like that. And yeah, in terms of the organized crime, I don't know how much of that is true and the sex trafficking and the grape allegations, but I can totally see the the money laundering or tax evasion, that kind of stuff come up. I don't know how it works in Romania. Like, can you charge somebody for X, X, and X, and then end up going for them for Y, Y? Like, I don't really know how it works that way, but um, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out in court.
More sex trafficking. There's unless you're dealing with underage, when we don't have any evidence that anybody's underage, but we have three things: force, fraud, or coercion. Force, obviously, that's like being in chains and not being allowed to leave. Fraud, being kept there under false pretenses. If there's an element of fraud in the way that you are enticing somebody or keeping somebody in a particular position to work for you, and if it's in the sex business, that's sex trafficking. Or coercion, threat of harm or some other way to limit your movement. And so let's kind of look at one of his very first videos that he did. These are his words, not my words. And I'm going to play it, and I'm not going to take it out of context. We'll play this. Let's just make sure I'm not taking things out of context.
When you say webcam company, people assume, oh, it's just a sex fest. But in reality, it's a shitload of people management. The HR category of the webcam business is the largest and most important thing. You're effectively taking girls, teaching them how to make unlimited money from home, and then making sure they give it all to you.
So you're making sure that you're teaching girls how to make a shit ton of money and give it all to you. Now, this is one of his first instructional videos. A lot of guys, he's got a lot of fans. And a lot of guys think, oh.
So he said this is an instructional video. Um, that makes me inclined to think that this video came from his Hustlers University, I'm guessing. It also looks like the video isn't an interview, kind of like the podcast or the interview he's done on YouTube with other people, um, which is interesting because I've never seen this video anywhere before. I don't know if it's public, but yeah, anytime anybody's been debating me about this, I've always said, like, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? I've never seen this video pop up, so this is going to be something new for me.
Oh, in order to have some wealth, you have to have a Bugatti, you have to do this, you have to do that. In order to have wealth, you have to have self-pride. You have to know who you are as a person. And where do you get that from? You get that from building, as I've always said. So I do two things. I like to be motivation for younger guys and women for that matter, who are looking at maybe a possible direction in their career. So I like to motivate people in a very positive way. But the other thing I do is I do offer a legal analysis of what's going on here. Right off the bat, he tells you that his main goal is to have them work for him and him get all the money.
Webcam studios everywhere. There's one webcam studio down the road called Studio 20 with 100 rooms. 100 rooms, 8-hour shifts, 3 girls a day. That's 300 girls a day working, and they all work on LiveGasm. So if you're going to go on LiveGasm, you're going to be competing with big time guys. And what you want to be competing with is people at home in their bedrooms. You don't want to be competing with serious businessmen, because I know for a fact, Studio 20, the owner of Studio 20 and the owner of the website itself, Lives Yasmin, are friends, and they've got some kind of backhander agreement. So all the Studio 20 girls appear high on the web page. They appear at the top of the page. Obviously, if you're going to go on there, you don't want to scroll down 10 pages to find a girl. You're going to go to the girls in the first row. All his girls appear high up because he's given the guy a backhand. It's all this shady business. It's a huge competition market.
So you can see his main thrust is just making money, and he doesn't give a shit how he does it really. He's going to tell you in a second here the origin of the story, and he's repeated these same concepts through multiple interviews, right? And so when you say I'm taking things out of context, we've sourced this and sourced this and sourced this, and he's repeated it multiple times. Is something when you hear who he wants to compete. He doesn't want to compete with the main factories. He wants to compete with the girls that are at home. So that gives you an indication that he's going. It's like in nature, I suppose. It's you go.
Well, that kind of makes sense in terms of business. I mean, generally, if you're starting off a small business or something of your own, you don't want to compete against, say, a Walmart or a Costco. That's going to be incredibly hard to match your prices with them and also profit at the same time. So generally, you are competing with other small businesses and trying to give a better service or a better quality product, or at least a perceived better service or quality product. So that kind of makes sense on a business end if he's telling people to be like a small business owner. But yeah, it's a lot easier for you to compete against other small businesses than a big conglomerate, I guess.
Go after the weakest.
Now, I've told very shortly my story, how I kind of started my whole website business. I'll tell it again in detail here.
So this will be interesting. I've never really heard this story before.
Was fighting. I had some money. I had 70,000 pounds in a safe in my.
One of our viewers had indicated that he's gotten most of his money from fighting. He had 70 grand, 70,000 euros or pounds or whatever he had, and that was it.
Bedroom.
$70,000 is not a lot considering I think he had like I think 80 something fights, and he's I think a 4-time world kickboxing champion or something like that. So 70,000 is not that much considering. Well, I guess if you're fighting for like big companies like UFC or One Championship Pride or whatever, I guess they're getting paid a lot more. Um, I don't know what he was fighting in. I just know that he was a kickboxer. But yeah, 70,000 is not a lot for that many fights.
In my house. I wanted to buy property in Thailand and move to Thailand. I needed 80,000. I was 10 grand short, and I thought I'd go to the casino and make the 10.
That's also telling. Hey, I'm going to go to the casino and try to make money when he's not even a gambler. Guys, stay away from the casino. There's a reason that they're so big.
Which was obviously, we all know how that story went. So I lost 30, so now I need 40. I needed it quickly. So I was sitting there trying to find a way to make money. So how can I make money? And what I did was, I said to Tristan, I'm literally not leaving my room until I have a way for us to make more money. Because I can only fight so many times per year, and I know their income. So I got a pen and paper, and
I'm not sure if this has anything to do with it either, but I remember seeing an interview. It might have been a post-fight interview or something, where he lost his championship, I think, or he was either lost the fight or lost the championship. But I believe he has some eye damage or something, and that's why he wears sunglasses a lot. Maybe a detached retina or something. But I think that was the fight where Like he had some serious a serious eye injury, and I would have thought that that would be the reason why he no longer fights. Not that not the fact that he doesn't make enough money doing it, but I think that eye injury would have kept him out because it doesn't make sense to put yourself at risk at that point either.
I was on YouTube, like researching, how people make money, what millionaires have, da da da, and they kept talking about assets. And I was sitting there thinking, what assets do I have? I'm trying to buy a property. I mean, I didn't own a property in the UK at the time.
Now, think about the word asset. What is an asset? Well, I suppose this hat is an asset. It's not worth much, but it's really the brand is worth a lot more than the hat is. But what is an asset? The office, the building, your brand. Those are assets. Things that you own are assets.
Times they didn't pay me tax to anyone. I didn't want to pay taxes, so I didn't buy a house to took it from me. So I was like, what
And keep in mind, keep that tax theme in the back of your head.
assets do I have? Like I have a car, I have this, I have that. And then I realized I had about 5 girlfriends, all smoking hot. And females are an asset. Attractive females are absolutely an asset. And if you disagree with me, walk in the club with 10 blondes and you'll see who the most important guy in the club is. Fuck the champagne shows.
Who the fuck?
So this is interesting because one of the things I talk about a lot is that Andrew Tate has a persona, and let's call this persona Top G. Um, I think that Top G and Andrew Tate are similar, almost the same, but they are two different characters. Maybe the Top G one is just an extreme version of Andrew Tate, or a more caricatured version, if you know what I mean. Um, One of the things I like to compare it to is like wrestling. Like back in the day when I watched wrestling in the WWE, WWF, whatever you want to call it, the Attitude Era, you had guys like Stone Cold, you had Undertaker, The Rock, all these guys, they had a persona that they lived up to, and of course that persona doesn't represent their real character. Um, Somebody like The Rock, like you'll see The Rock, even when he returns to the WWE after he's quit and now he's a movie star and stuff like that, he'll jump back into that Rock character and not be Dwayne Johnson. So that's what I feel like Andrew Tate and Top G are like. Now, in this video, if my understanding is that it's from Hustlers University and he's teaching people how to make money or something, I don't know why he would be using this Top G persona to do this, because at this point he's trying to help people make money. Whereas the Top G character, the purpose for that is to clickbait people um, on Instagram, on YouTube, things like that. Like he's getting people angry, talking about him, and as a result, people are gonna make him relevant because they're talking about him. They're hating on him, or they're either supporting him and his ideas. And to me, I feel like it's just a clickbait thing, because watching other podcasts, like I've seen him on Your Mom's House with Tom Segura. I've seen him on a few other ones where it does seem like he breaks kayfabe sometimes. And yeah, so I think like they're two different characters, but I mean, depending on what he says in the video, like if he says some incriminating shit, then like it's incriminating shit. Like a persona is not gonna save you from that kind of stuff.
Fuck cares who the most important guy in the club is? The most insecure guy in the club. It's important to that guy, but it should never be important to you to be the most important guy in the club. What should be important to you is the people around you having their respect, but having their respect because not because you're walking in there with 12 blondes.
I've walked in the club with 10 girls and there's guys next to me doing champagne shows. Is anyone looking at their table or my table?
Sorry, that was my tablet. But yeah, this is the kind of shit that I think I don't like about Andrew Tate, because now he's talking about that Top G shit, where it's like, oh, I'm coming in on Top G and I got all these bitches on my side and stuff like that. That's the stuff I don't think I care about. Well, I know I don't care about. I don't think that young men should be looking up to that part of it um, as someone who could be their role model. Again, he says some other stuff that is very, very good for young men, but this extra top G shit that goes on top of it, that stuff's not good. And the thing is, if you're like me and you can differentiate the stuff that seems positive versus the negative stuff, you can see that it's like, oh, hey, this part's a joke, it's a character, and then this part's the real underlying message that he's trying to push. But young people or people who are not as intelligent are gonna miss that kind of shit, and they're gonna take it seriously. I think a lot of people that are um, Andrew Tate haters are also the same way. There's a whole bunch of people that support him and hate on him that don't see past that character, and then there's still a lot of people that do um, see past the character and they see like, oh, the underlying message is actually not that bad. So it's yeah, it's weird that even even in a video where he's not talking to the mass public, I think, and it's just to his Hustlers University people, that he's still in this persona.
No one gives a fuck about their table. Pussy is the most important driving force of this planet. Pussy is the only reason that empires were started and wars were waged. It's the only reason all you guys are out there are even interested in having money. If there was no pussy about, you wouldn't care about having money. You'd say, oh, I'll have a little bit of money and I'll just play chess all day. I don't care. I'll play.
See, like even this stuff contradicts with some of the stuff he says, because you do hear him talking about the reason why you need to make money and the reason why you need to become successful and stuff like that is because you need to be able to provide for your family. He talks about providing for like so many people. His I don't know if his mom's still alive anymore, but he supports his cousins, his brother, blah blah blah. Um, and that kind of mentality is good. You want to support your wife, you want to support your children, all of that kind of stuff is good. Um, but then here he is talking about like, oh, I have all the bitches and blah blah blah, and buying all the nice cars and stuff like that. That stuff is very superficial. So it's weird. I mean, but if people sign up to Hustlers University and their mentality is to get that kind of stuff, then I can see why he's um, talking about it. But I don't know. I don't know. I've never signed up to it, so I don't know who are the type of people that do sign up to this kind of stuff. So
Video games. The only reason we want cars and clothes and six packs and houses and shit is for girls.
That is so simplistic.
Girls are the driving force. So when I realized I had all these assets, I had to find a way to monetize the assets.
Now remember, the assets, are something you own. He's got 5 women that he believes are his assets. Now he's going to make money off of them.
I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time. Straight street pimping is a completely, in fact, no, it's not a completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same.
So, now I'm not taking things out of context. He's saying the psychological aspect of what he's going to be doing is the exact same psychological aspect of street pimping, and that is control.
this is crazy.
Of what we're going to do. The skill I'm going to teach you is exactly the same. I could easily translate mine to a street business, and you could easily street pimp with the things I'm going to teach you.
This is crazy. I don't know how else to put it. Um, there's like nothing good that comes out of being a pimp when you think about it. Like other than the fact that you have money and stuff like that, like there's no point in time where you think about a pimp and you think of something positive, you know?
I didn't want no one else fucking my girl. That's the truth. My girls. I want to fuck my girls. I don't want some other guy fucking my girls. The fuck's the point in that? So, long story short, blah, 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 blah. Discovered webcam and went from there. Flew all 5 girls in at once. Sat them all down. So I've been going out with all of you. Here's the truth. Starting a business. You want to make money or not? 2 decided to stay. 3 started crying. Got back on the plane. Because they're all different places in the world. I had them from when I was fighting. So I went and fought in Slovakia. Got a girlfriend. Went and fought in France. Got a girlfriend. Went and fought. So I had all these girls around the world. So I told them all to fly in, sat them all down together. Like, who the fuck are all these other girls? I was like, okay, Truth time. Bang.
All these other girls probably think they're exclusive before they come to him, right? And now all of a sudden he lays the truth down on them. What is that's deception from the very beginning. His words, not mine.
I'm a G. I'm fucking you all.
I'm a G.
I'm gonna start a business. You're all gonna live here with me. 3 got back on the plane. 2 decided to stay. 2 weeks later, 1 left, and so I was left with 1. But starting with 1 is good. But those 2 weeks, I fucked them together a few times.
The G, as he calls himself, started with 5. Now he's down to 1. How much respect would you have for the 1 girl that's still standing there? The 4 girls, thank God that they had the sense. But really, who is the bigger man? Is the bigger man that's the fucking poser who walks into a club with 12 girls? Or is the bigger man who is the honorable guy, who stands by his family, raises a family, has a decent job, goes to work every day, is solid? I'd rather go to a pub than a club any day. When you are that guy, not the G, but when you are a solid guy where you're there for your family, you're not trying to manipulate anybody, and you're a provider for your family, and you are a solid, straight guy, that's the G. That's the person who's the real man.
Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money and give you the money.
Your goal is to rip her off. That's really what he's telling you. Those are his words.
That's like serious pimp shit.
I'm not taking anything out of context. We're not chopping this up. This is his little seminar that he was pitching to all these guys out there who think he's got something to offer.
So the way you're going to do that is you have to have some element of influence, and you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you.
Now that is a critical thing. You know, the old pimps, what they would do is they'd find some young girl at the bus station. This is an old school kind of thing, or with the mall or whatever, and they shower them with gifts, and then they think they're the best, and you know, and these are chicks that don't have any self-esteem whatsoever, and then they start working for them, and then but it's a slow process. But it's a slow process of mind control and physical control with money, control with emotions, and actual physical control.
And this is extremely important, because at the beginning she will need you, but then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive.
This is pretty fucking crazy, because at this point, from what he's saying, he is admitting to luring girls in to do this webcamming stuff. Like I mean, you know, with pimps, they're dealing with prostitutes and stuff like that, and it is essentially sex trafficking, even though they're not having sex with clients or whatever. Like they're doing a webcam business or whatever, or OnlyFans. I don't know if he does that now. But yeah, he was talking about his original business, which was the webcam thing. Yeah, I do think that this is considered sex trafficking. So this is like the first time I've seen anything here, and crazily enough, it's coming from his own mouth. That he does have sex, or he is committing sex trafficking. I think this is a very crazy evidence against him, and it's self-incriminating. It was just funny, the stop self-snitching thing. You can't see it, but let me move his hat here. Stop self-snitching. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy that he's just admitting it. Because other stuff before was people saying like, oh, he said this on his website or whatever like that. It's written right in his website, and I took a look at it too, and like, yeah, I can see that he's saying it, but there's nowhere that he's really admitting to sex trafficking. He's saying like, oh yeah, I made these girls fall in love, and they are my girlfriends, and they do my webcam thing for me. That's not enough for me to say that's sex trafficking yet. There could be a little bit of manipulation and stuff like that there, but I don't know in terms of the laws and stuff. I would have thought that he was doing things close enough to the line where it is almost illegal, but not quite. But here it's very clear the way that he's putting it, that it does seem illegal what he's doing.
Fallacy. That's his word. His word. Not taking this out of context. So she'll need you at first, but then she won't. But you have to keep her convinced that she does need you. That's how you control. That's the control part. And it is a fallacy. And what is fallacy? Fraud.
She can't do this without you, to ensure that she doesn't do it without you. So this is what screen share is all about. Effectively, this is the way the business works. The girl sits on the camera. Now, when the girl is on camera, and you would have seen from my promotional video, that was at the height of my webcam empire. The blonde in that video I'm still with now. You'll see from there how we explain that there's people typing or pretending to be the girl 24 hours a day. So it hasn't got to be 24.
That part, I suppose, is fine in terms of a business model, but it's fraud. I mean, he's the one typing, and so you think you're getting all excited by something she's saying, and here you're really communicating with Andrew Tate.
But
I think people who in OnlyFans also do this as well too. I don't know, maybe that is something that people have always done, and that was, or I don't know how long he's been doing Hustlers University for. I don't wonder how many people are doing it because they learned it off him. But I've been hearing about that for a long time already, that you have managers that come in and they technically manage your account. They're hiring people from a different country like Guatemala or something, and they're chatting with your OnlyFans subscribers and stuff like that. I think Stella Berry was mentioning that in a podcast that I watched. So yeah, I thought that was relatively known, but I wonder how many people are doing it because of him specifically. I wonder if he's the one that came up with it, or if it was already a thing.
that method is very important for two reasons. First, let me explain how it works. Listen up, motherfuckers. So, the girl's on the webcam. She's sitting here. When a girl is on camera, she has a public room, which people will visit, and they will spend money in and talk shit.
And when you think about it, the people that he's appealing to on these webcams are just a bunch of really lonely guys, and there's a ton of them out there.
It is your job to train the girl to talk to and interact with that public room as much as possible. So when people come in the room and say, oh, hey, how are you? She's like, they type. The men type, hey, how are you? It comes in the box. She goes, oh, hey, I'm fine, thank you. You, and she has to make sure her public room is engaging and interesting as much as possible to keep people in the room. Now, while the public...
So there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with what he's actually doing. It's the nature of how he's getting the girls there and keeping them there.
She can also receive private messages. And all those private messages you are going to reply to. And you're going to reply to them via screen share on a computer in a different room. As long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network, you're having more conversations with men than a girl could ever have on her own. Because she's too busy on her own. She's overwhelmed. She can't talk to all these people. So some guys you have to negotiate with, some guys you have to do a deal with, some guys whatever. You can do all that shit. But even more importantly, it makes the girl believe that she can't do it without you.
That's a recurring thing, that she can't do it without you. She is reliant on you. She needs you. And why is that important? Because if she thinks she can do it on her own, guess what? She does it on her own, and you've lost your profit center. That's what he's talking about. That's why the control is such an important aspect of what he does.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning she can, but there'll become a point she can't. But you being here, it synergizes this teamwork energy. We're going to do this together. Yeah, you go on the camera. Don't worry, I'll talk to the guys. I'm going to talk to them. We're a team. Happy, positive teamwork. There's no negative energy in this business. You have to be positive. So by you typing for the girl, you maximize your money, and also she believes she needs you, which is extremely important. Later on down the line, I got to the point where I'd hired typers. So I didn't have to type. So I'd hired girls to sit and type and...
Yeah, so that's what I mentioned. Stella Berry was saying that she hires a team of people that talk to her subscribers and stuff like that on OnlyFans. So this is different. It's a webcam service, so similar though.
Tend to be the girls. So I had girls online. I had an office full of girls pretending to type. So I had 4 typers, 20 girls online, for example. Another reason you use Chatterbait is because they will pay you in Bitcoin.
This is another critical part of what he does, and that may impact a criminal prosecution of him later. And if you recall at the beginning of this video, he talked about not wanting to own property because he didn't want to pay taxes. And him not paying taxes is a recurring theme. And
True.
so if he's avoiding taxes, you can't avoid taxes with Bitcoin. I mean, you still owe the money. If you're making money, it's income. You have income taxes. Just because you're paid in Bitcoin doesn't mean that you don't owe the taxes. So let's continue.
They'll pay you in Bitcoin. You put in your Bitcoin address and they'll pay you in Bitcoin. And this is amazing because you've all seen the thought audit shit that's going on. You've all seen the fucking legalities of banking. Trying to get money out of these sites into your bank without paying a shitload of tax is actually very difficult.
See, it's that whole avoiding taxes. And it's not legal to do that. It's not legal to not pay your taxes.
And that was going to be about an hour segment of this fucking thing. But we don't need to do that anymore because in the last 6 months, Chatterbait have released the Bitcoin option. So they'll pay you in Bitcoin. So if your girl on there working, let's say you generate $3,000, $4,000, bang, you get Bitcoin into your wallet. Done. No fucking tax, no thought audit, none of that shit. And I had a separate phone with all my girls' guys in that phone, and I kept control of it. And I would speak to them, and before she went online, I would tell her like any basic information. You don't let your girl have this, because if your girl ever runs off and leaves you, which is going to happen to some of you at least, you don't want her to have an address book of all the guys she can get money from.
Another aspect of control. You don't want her to have your client list, because if she has your client list, she can leave you. So you've got to restrict her information. So it's systematic. And
That's normal business
systematic method
practice.
of control to control these women. Now, these are not my words. These are his words and his words alone.
You want her to leave and go, well, I don't know the account. I don't have the password to the account. I've never set it up before. I don't know how the banking works. I don't have any of my guys' phone numbers. I have nothing. And that's why they don't want to leave. Because they're like, oh, well, he has everything. I need him. I have to stay with him. He has everything. It's important. I'm telling you, it's a very important element, that control.
It's a very important element, that control.
The girls will be like, well, what the fuck do I need this dude for? And they will leave if you don't have every aspect under control. Tax is also another important element for controlling your woman. You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody.
That's not legal advice, by the way.
You need to tell your girl that you're paying the tax. Because girls are lazy, and girls are stupid, and girls don't understand how taxes work. So the girl's working with you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we've made this much money, but I'm going to pay the tax to make sure we don't get in trouble. She'll sit there and go, okay, okay. Now that allows you to do two things. One, it's another control element.
See how that control is a recurring theme?
It's funny because he's saying that girls are stupid and they don't know how to pay tax, but he clearly doesn't know how to pay tax either.
Over and over and over again.
If I work with him, my tax is not a problem. If I do it alone, I have to deal with taxes. Taxes are complicated. It's a control element.
And he doesn't have respect for these women at all because he thinks they're stupid.
It allows you to pay her a smaller percentage. So I used to pay my girls 30%. So for every $10,000 they made, I'd give them 3, and I'd keep 7. They thought they were on 50%, and I said that the disparity is because of taxes. So you're on 50%, but we had to pay the tax first, and then it's 50-50. If they say, why is it 50-50? Because I'm the one on camera, you say, because I'm the one typing, I'm the one with the property you're working in, I'm the one paying the bills, the electricity, I'm the one who's, and the electricity and every other maintenance cost of this property, I'm the one who bought the equipment, I'm the one who knows what he's doing, I'm the one with the knowledge, I'm the da-da-da-da-da-da. Shut the fuck up, go online. And they should be pretty happy with that if they respect you as a person overall.
So, one of the things that I've been paying attention to recently is how some of the victims, I think there's like 2 victims that are potentially, they say that they're victims from this current case that's going on as well, or this current investigation. I think Andrew Tate's ex-girlfriend, like these girls are coming out and saying that they're not victims, blah blah blah, and it's interesting because you have Vice that's coming out with all these allegations of like I guess victims saying that they've been raped and all that stuff, and it's 2 contradicting things. So it's weird because like you said, if they respect you, then you're not going to have an issue, right? And maybe it's because those people that are now coming out, maybe they've realized what was happening to them, um, and there's regret and shame, I guess. Maybe shame is the reason why they didn't come out in the first place. But in terms of right now with these other girls that are speaking out, there's a possibility because like they respected him and they were still making a lot of money doing it, and they trusted him and they believed everything that he said, and they still believe it. That they're saying that they weren't victims because they were like, oh cool, I'm making all this money, I'm getting all this stuff from Andrew and whatever. He's watching out for me. He's doing everything for me, and so it's a possibility that they truly believe what was going on, based off of what he's saying.
So really you're paying 30, you tell them you're paying 50, difference is in the tax. That's where the disparity lies, taxes. If they don't believe you or they want to get fresh or whatever, print out some tax forms. I used to do this all the time. I used to print out some random tax forms and say, yeah, sign here and sign this. What is it? It's for the tax. You want to pay the tax or not? Okay, and they just sign away. They don't know what they're fucking signing. I just throw them away afterwards. But they think something's happening. Something real's happening. Nothing's happening besides me get rich, bitch.
Nothing's happening except for me getting rich, bitch. That's what he just said. So he's taking another 20% of what would have been their earnings, saying he's paying taxes, but he's not paying taxes. His words. Having them even sign a dummy tax form that is just to try to convince her even more that he's paying some taxes, which is just ridiculous. And so, what is the middle word? Fraud. That's fraud. Force, fraud, or coercion.
Anyway, so tax is another important element to keep control of the girl. You have to fuck the girls. You cannot do a business relationship with a female, and I'll tell you why. Women have sex with somebody. If they're not fucking you, they're fucking somebody else. Now, a woman's always going to be the most loyal to the guy she's fucking, as opposed to anyone else for any other reason. If you have a girl work for you and you say, look, we're going to be business partners, we're going to make money, here's your cut, here's my cut, we're going to work together, blah, 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 blah. Here's a fucking, I've had dudes, I've known loads of guys who've like, tried to do a contract with a girl, tried to sit there and talk common sense to a girl. When's the last time talking common sense to a girl has ever worked? Ever. If you're not fucking the girl, she is fucking someone else. And that other person she's fucking is going to have the control over her mind.
Again, control. Control her through money, control her through information, control her through manipulation, control her through sex.
So this is the first time that, I mean, he's not admitting to grape at all, but the fact that he's saying that if you don't fuck her, she's gonna be fucking somebody else, um, there could be some implications that it could have been forceful. I mean, he didn't say it. He didn't say that he's forcing them, but that's pretty crazy.
As opposed to you. And if he controls her mind and you don't control her mind, once she starts to pick it up a bit after a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and realizes how to make money on her own, is she going to stay and keep paying you, or is she going to run off and pay her boyfriend, or them two are going to go traveling in Southeast Asia and she's going to work as she goes, or she's going to go to her boyfriend and say, look, fuck it, you type for me. What you actually turn these things into is Bitcoin. So effectively what a webcam company doing is mining Bitcoin. But instead of mining Bitcoin the traditional way with huge electricity expenses and massively expensive equipment and space and cooling and all that bullshit, you mine Bitcoin with some pussy and titties.
You mine Bitcoin with pussy and titties.
Smart.
That's what he just said. Did I take that out of context? I don't think I did. My whole point in bringing this up is not to bash Andrew Tate, although I'm not a fan, and I don't care to even pretend that I'm a fan. But it's an interesting case. It's an interesting case because it has international intrigue, but you also have, from his own words, the control aspect. How important it is to control these women. I think the government, with this video, with just this one video alone, has an excellent foundation for the sex trafficking charge. But
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty damning so far. Um, but yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, in the sense that doing this whole webcam business or OnlyFans and stuff like that, like it is legal. It's fine to do it. I just feel like he, just like his Top G character, went too far with the coercion and the manipulation and the control. Like he's lying to them and doing things to manipulate them to get them to continue doing them and not to leave and like feel like they can't do it on their own. Like that part is crazy. But I mean, you could have you could have done it legally, but he's saying that if you did it the proper way or the legal way or whatever it is, like the girls are gonna leave faster. They're gonna figure out they're gonna do it on their own, which is totally valid. I can see that happening, but that's part of the business. Like I guess that's why you would have a contract, but now he's saying like, oh, some guys have tried contracts, blah blah, it doesn't work. Yeah, of course not. When people see how much potential that they have, they're not gonna be want to they're not gonna want to be bound to a contract. And even if they are bound to contract, they want a way out of it at some point as well too. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
more than that, they also have probably a tax beef that they could levy against him once they start diving into his books. In analyzing this, I really don't want you to think I'm taking anything out of context, because I'm not. But let's see, in his own words, how he's recruited, lured, or retained these girls.
Then you start saying things like, oh yeah, but you're always working. I have to do some traveling and you can't come. I want to bring you with me. Traveling is a great one because the thing about this business is mobile. If you can find a good Airbnb with good internet, you can run it somewhere else. So it's a good little caveat to throw in. Oh, and you're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So you'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen, come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. You, your bottom bitch, the new girl, go out for fucking a nice dinner. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling.
That is fucking textbook sex trafficking. Textbook sex trafficking.
You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from a girl. And this is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Remember Ghislaine Maxwell? That was the girl that recruited
Right.
for Jeffrey Epstein. Almost identical to what he's talking about here. When you put all this into context, you have the way he structured his business. One of the ways that he's lured the girls is by having another girl there, identical to what Epstein was doing. Now, and this is the danger when you have so much stuff that's out there that's reckless, right? Let's see what he has to say about the Romanian court system and their jails.
The Romanian court. So they say, oh no, not a court in Romania. No, they're corruption free, as we all know. They put me in jail. I'm gonna walk in there with a pile of money like this.
I'm gonna walk in there with a pile of money like this. Did he walk in there with a pile of money?
Get some hose. This sells mine. I'm ready. Put me in jail. I don't give a fuck. Take her court case. Shut up.
He's now in a jail in Romania. He is now going to be subject to the courts in Romania. He just, on this video, I'm sure the prosecutors have this because I have it. If I have it, they have it. Flouting.
I wonder how this guy got this video because I feel like it really is a video for Hustlers University. Like, there's no way that Andrew Tate would have put this out publicly, right? Like, why would you put something so incriminating out for the open? And again, I don't know how this guy got it because a video like this would be everywhere. It would be frigging everywhere. Like for the past what it's the 12th now, like for the past 12 13 days, nobody has posted any type of hard evidence until this, really. So I don't know how this guy got in this video, but yeah, I don't know.
taunting, showing complete and utter disregard for the Romanian court system, which he's now going to be facing. Now, if you recall, the statement from his own lawyer said Mr. Tate has nothing but the utmost respect for the court system. Well, that's not what it says here. So what I'm trying to get at here is the case for them to be made. And granted, women may come here by their own will, or come to Romania and work for him, but there are statements from women saying they wanted to leave, they were controlled. He controlled their passports. He controlled every part of their movement, because if they can come and go as they please, he doesn't have a continuous source of revenue. He doesn't have money coming in, and that's his only goal. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. So you tell me where I've taken things out of context. I haven't taken one
Valid.
thing out of context.
It's very valid.
This is what he's charged with. These are his own words. And every ounce of this will be used in a court of law. It absolutely will. And so, when you're looking at rape charges, sex trafficking charges, and I would venture to guess some tax counts, he's looking at some very, very serious charges. And if there's anything that ties him to the U.S. on this, he could be facing prosecution in the United States as well. This is just an honest assessment of this case.
See, this is one of the things I like watching lawyers reacting to these types of cases. I mean, at the beginning of the year, with the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff, I was mainly watching lawyers' reaction videos as well too, because they know what the attorneys and stuff are doing. They know what's important in terms of the actual trial and the justice system. Again, when I have people talking to me on social media and stuff like that, a lot of it is all bullshit and speculation, and I take all of that with a grain of salt. I like seeing some real legal analysis on stuff, because that's at the end of the day what matters. I could give a rat's ass what you think or your opinion is, because if you're just saying like, oh, he should be guilty because he's misogynistic, like, no, like, give me some solid proof, and this is solid. I feel like it's solid proof. I don't see. I mean, if they use this in court, which they probably will, like he's saying, I mean, it's hard to. I don't know how you defend yourself from it.
And do I like Andrew Tate? No, but who cares if I like him or don't like him? And I think it would be wrong for me to take things out of context and do a character assassination piece on him, but which isn't what we're doing.
Right.
But I do think anybody that relies on him for a role model is misguided. He's not an honorable guy. He doesn't show respect to women. He doesn't show respect to anybody that is.
See, that's the crazy part, because, like I said, like, he does show glimpses of really good advice for young men, and then you see all this bullshit as well too, and it sucks because there's a lot of people that did support that as well too, and then now they're like, well, fuck, I have to eat my words and stuff like that, because, well, his underlying message was pretty solid, but I mean, all this extra stuff, it just makes him so less credible. Like, I want to see, now that this is out, all these other people that are in support of, like, masculinity, they're part of this pro masculinity movement and stuff like that. I want to see how they react to it, because a lot of them have good things to say about Andrew Tate. And so I wonder if they will go back and eat their own words or apologize, or if they're just gonna try to brush it under the rug. It's gonna be hard to brush it under the rug. You're gonna somehow have to acknowledge it at some point. But I don't know. I guess they were duped as well too, right? I mean, again, at the end of the day, I don't believe that this pro masculinity stuff is a bad thing, because it is good. There's a lot of people who are lost, and they do need some sort of role model to encourage them to do better. I think Jordan Peterson says a lot, like, men don't get encouraged a lot. They don't get any, like, appreciation for the things they do, um, compliments. Like, we don't get that a lot as guys. It's just taken for granted. So there's a lot of stuff out there that could be better, and unfortunately, like, this, it kind of it's like one step forward, but like 10 steps backwards.
That doesn't have a Bugatti. What color is your Bugatti? What color is your Bugatti? Oh, my Bugatti in it. Bullshit. You don't need a Bugatti to be respected, you know. And I would never own a Bugatti. And I'm not saying anything against them. They're kind of cool cars. But how much? What does it cost for a brake job? I mean, it's like 25 grand or something. Outrageous amount of money. Who? No, the average guy can't do that anyway. I'm more average than I am. What do you call it? Than I am like Tate. And absolutely. But I like what I do. I like being a criminal defense lawyer. I love being a father. I love being a role model for everybody around me. I love supporting all of my employees and being there for people. I love hearing stories from you guys saying, hey, you inspired me to go to law school. You know, I mean, I love that. And so when you look for a role model, look in another direction. This guy's going down, and I don't mean that, but the case is, he's making the case for them with his own words. So
That's true.
we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter,
All right, yeah,
and
go ahead,
sign
do
up for
that
Patreon,
shit.
and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
All right, so that's pretty much it. Wow, that was a crazy video. Um, if you want to react, if you want to see me react to any of this other stuff, I didn't expect it to be so long. It's almost an hour now, but hopefully, if you did watch all the way through, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments if you want me to react to any other stuff. Um, yeah, this is an interesting case that literally went from not seeing any type of evidence from anywhere to all of a sudden, like, boom, what the shit. But yeah, alright, thanks for watching. Peace.